Chapter 301, 190, renowned across the country. Known to all, _3. Li Moya pondered for a moment and said, I think it should be a mutual achievement. When college had just started, he wasn't this freakish yet, I could still go a couple of rounds with him. It was after he pursued the pure-blood human path that he suddenly became so strong. At the head seat, the Li family patriarch, upon hearing his second son's words, couldn't help but fall into deep thought. The pure-blood human path, it had already been proved to be a dead end that led nowhere. How could it be that, mysteriously, there emerged a top-tier genius capable of crushing his peers? Furthermore, why did the divine plant cult place such significant importance on this pure-blood human path genius named Lin Zikan? Could there be something special about the pure-blood human path? It looks like I'll have to pay close attention to the pure-blood human path in the future. Also, that long-abandoned Pure Human Research Institute at Shanghai University needs to be restarted. The Li family patriarch thought to himself silently. The Yuan family of Nanjiang. Yuan Dongji was sitting together with her father, her uncle who was the family head, and more than a dozen respected elders discussing Lin Zikan. When it came to Lin Zikan's performance in the special training and the divine plant cult's madness over him, everyone felt quite puzzled. Dongji, Chuanwu specializes in researching the pure-blood human path, and you've lived with him for so many years, you must be very knowledgeable about the pure-blood human path and know that it's wholly unrealistic. What is the deal with this Lin Zikan? Asked the Yuan family head with much perplexity. Yuan Dongji, I am not entirely clear on that, I've examined his body and couldn't find anything particularly unusual. I guess, it might be that his compatibility with the blood tempering technique is exceedingly high, allowing him to get twice the result with half the effort while practicing it. Thanks to this, he has been able to show the powerful side of the pure-blood human path, breaking our long-standing stereotypes about it. The Yuan family head, after contemplating for a moment, then asked, then why does the divine plant cult value him so much? Yuan Dongji shook her head, I'm not sure. She actually understood very well, but she would not say anything, no matter what. She would not speak of it, whether it was to her close uncle or even her own father. She felt obligated to keep Lin Zikan's secret, and she also knew that maintaining a good relationship with him was key. Building a good relationship with such a genius was 10 to 100 times, even 1,000 to 10,000 times, more important than maintaining a good relationship with the family head. The Yuan family head inquired, Dongji, are you still in touch with Chuanwu privately? Yuan Dongji, occasionally. The Yuan family head said earnestly, in that case, find a time to invite him over for a meal at home, have a heart-to-heart chat, see if you can reconcile. After all, there wasn't really any conflict between you two, and it's a pity you split up. Try to reconcile if you can. As the head of a major family, he keenly sensed that the pure-blood human path might not be simple, otherwise, the divine plant cult wouldn't place such a premium on Lin Zikan. Now was the time to start investing. To invest in the pure-blood human path meant to win over Lu Chuanwu, who specialized in studying it. The Mech God Group. Zhang Kai was explaining the situation about Lin Zikan to the top executive of the group. The top executive listened while looking down at the information about Lin Zikan in his hands. The data showed that Lin Zikan's biological level was ordinary 8th rank, and so was his mental strength. Not having fused with the exotic beast gene and still possessing such power, his talent was undeniably immense. But that alone wasn't enough to make the divine plant cult value him so heavily, to the extent that they would abandon all the undercover agents they had planted in the Nanjiang Provincial Military Region headquarters over the years, just to take him away at all costs. The only explanation is that the pure-blood human path has secrets. Whether it's Lin Zikan or the pure-blood human path, it seems they will both need close attention in the future. The leader of the group murmured thoughtfully as he looked at the information in his hands. Zhuzhou Military Region Headquarters. A middle-aged man with graying temples was looking over the documents his secretary had just gathered. The documents were all about Lin Zikin. After reading through the documents, the middle-aged man turned to his secretary and said with an unfathomable tone, "Prepare a private jet, I will go to Shanghai University with you tomorrow." "Okay, I understand," the secretary nodded and said. After speaking, the secretary turned and left the office to arrange the private jet for the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking in the direction of Shanghai University, and murmured to himself, "The pure-blood human path, hey! How interesting!" At this moment, he was filled with interest in Lin Zikin, who walked the pure-blood human path and whom the divine plant cult had set its sights on, wanting to see what kind of person this targeted genius was. Because he had lived for over 1,000 years and had never seen the divine plant cult value a genius so highly. 20,000 meters beneath Shanghai City. Within the spacious underground palace, a person wearing a 3-leaf clover mask was reporting to a person with a 4-leaf clover mask leaning on a cane. "Great Elder, the operation failed. We couldn't bring back Lin Zikin. Moreover, over the years, the followers we had planted in the Nanjiang Provincial Military Region headquarters have almost all been exposed. And the 9th Elder is dead. From what I've learned, he seems to have died at the hands of Yuan Dongji." The person with the 4-leaf clover mask listened to these words without any emotional fluctuation. I see." After speaking, he looked at the increasingly stable biological transport channel before him and said in a hoarse voice, "After some time, when the stability of the channel has improved, we can attempt to transport advanced level creatures. During this period, all actions outside are to be suspended, including the capture of Lin Zikin. Currently, we need to invest all our efforts into the work of upgrading the biological transport channel. We can transport advanced level creatures soon." "That's great. Establishing a base on Earth is just a matter of time. Shanghai City is already within our grasp. Divine plant cult shall exist forever." At this moment, the followers of the divine plant cult in the underground palace were all brimming with excitement. Every follower present was not mourning for the valiantly fallen 9th Elder, but celebrating the impending upgrade of the biological transport channel. That night, the name Lin Zikin left a deep imprint in the minds of these influential figures. Meanwhile, Shen Qinghan remained unnoticed and continued to be the inconspicuous figure who always followed Lin Zikin around. P.S. Bowing for monthly and recommendation votes. Chapter 302, 191. Really going to become the pair of unmatched heroes. The next day, dawn was just breaking. Lin Zikin acutely sensed the faint light piercing through the curtains and woke up on time from his sleep, feeling a bit heavy. He opened his eyes and saw Shen Qinghan, who had originally curled up in his arms, was now lying on top of him. Her head resting on his chest. Her hand beside him. A long, fair leg draped over his waist. Almost her entire body was on him. The sleeping position didn't look very elegant, but it was quite tempting. "She's using me as a body pillow." Lin Zikin chuckled, gently removed Shen Qinghan's hand and leg from his body, trying not to wake her up. However, Shen Qinghan today was not as deeply asleep as usual. With just a light touch, she shuddered like a frightened rabbit. Then, without even opening her eyes, she cried out with a face of anxiety and fear. "Don't go, Xiao Chen, don't go." As she said this, she instinctively clung to Lin Zikin, holding on very tightly, and refused to let go. Lin Zikin figured that this naughty girl must have had a nightmare, so he gently patted her shoulder, soothing her in a gentle voice, "I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere." Shen Qinghan slowly opened her eyes upon hearing this, and when she saw Lin Zikin by her side, her entire being let out a sigh of relief. She took a moment, looked into Lin Zikin's eyes, and said with lingering fear, "I just dreamt that you were kidnapped by the divine plant cult, it really scared me." Lin Zikin laughed, "It's not that bad, getting kidnapped is just getting kidnapped, it's not like dying. There'll be chances to meet again in the future, no need to collapse like that." Shen Qinghan pursed her lips, her voice tinged with a hint of grievance, if you were taken away, it might be a very long time before we can meet again, but I don't want to be apart from you for even a day. Then let's not be apart for a day. Lin Zikin said, caressing Shen Qinghan's cheek with a tender tone. He said they wouldn't part for a day, but he knew very well it wasn't realistic. He only said so because Shen Qinghan needed comforting. Shen Qinghan, holding his hand, said, now that you're targeted by the divine plant cult, you must be careful in the future. Things like external combat training and out-of-school missions, if you can avoid them, then avoid them. Lin Zikin, all right, I won't participate in any. Shen Qinghan sighed, I used to think it was wonderful to be a genius, but after becoming one, I realized it's not all it seems. To think that being a genius means being targeted by the divine plant cult, it might be better not to be one at all. It would be nicer to be like my parents, teaching at school every day, than reading books at home after work. Lin Zikin, being an ordinary person seems nice, but it's predicated on a safe living environment. If one day the environment becomes harsh, and exotic beasts are everywhere, ordinary people will struggle even to survive. Shen Qinghan, exotic beasts everywhere, that's impossible, isn't it? Lin Zikin expressed his pessimism, it's not impossible, it's 100% certain to happen one day. Ah? How could that be? Shen Qinghan frowned slightly, unable to imagine such a day coming. Lin Zikin did not explain further, simply stating, the earth now may seem calm on the surface, but undercurrents are swirling. Who knows when a terrible beast disaster might erupt? Just like what we saw in the news as kids about Sakura Sea Country, where multiple cities were devoured by suddenly emerging giant mutant rats, with massive civilian casualties. So, the idea of being an ordinary person and how nice it is, it's better not to have it. We must prepare for the worst in advance. Before disaster strikes, we must strive to evolve as much as possible, to improve our strength, and have the ability to protect ourselves and our family. After hearing Lin Zikin's words, Shen Qinghan's expression became grave. All right, I understand. I will definitely strive to evolve from now on, not slacking even for a moment. Seeing the naughty girl get all serious, almost distressed, Lin Zikin laughed, you don't need to be so worried. What I just said are all just my own speculations, not necessarily accurate. Shen Qinghan seriously, they will be accurate. I believe you. Lin Zikin, speechless, look at what you're saying. It's best if such things don't turn out true. Upon hearing this, Shen Qinghan suddenly realized she had misspoken and immediately covered her mouth with her hand. But soon, she let go and spat several times, her demeanor becoming even more serious than before as she corrected herself, they won't be accurate, I don't believe you. Do you have to be so funny? Lin Zikin couldn't help but laugh, amused by Shen Qinghan's sudden change of heart, finding this naughty girl inexplicably cute at times. Just then, Shen Qinghan asked, Xiao Chen, with you being such a genius, do you think the baby ant Xin is carrying will also be a genius like you? The question took Lin Zikin aback, leaving him unsure of how to answer for a moment. He wondered, was his talent something his parents had given him? To be more precise, was the cheat his parents had given him? It didn't seem likely. If not, then the unborn sibling of his, whether a little brother or sister, might find talent a bit of a challenge. But it didn't really matter. The little one would be born with an awesome big brother and sister-in-law. Evolution resources, for one, would definitely be plentiful. With ample evolutionary resources to feed on, even a pig could evolve into a porcine deity. Thinking this, Lin Zikin answered, they should be a genius too. Chapter 303, 191. Really going to become the pair of unmatched heroes _2. Shen Qinghan, I feel the same way. Having said that, she then added, by the way, you warmed my feet for me last night, and I haven't repaid you yet. In return, I should warm you up too. Before she finished speaking, she had already burrowed into the quilt and started to warm Lin Zikin with increasingly adept skills. With her meticulous care, Lin Zikin soon comfortably closed his eyes, his face radiating enjoyment. More than half an hour later, the sky outside the window was completely bright. Seeing that it was about time, Lin Zikin got up with Shen Qinghan, washed up, and went to the living room to have breakfast. The breakfast, prepared early by Zhang Wangzhen, was particularly lavish with soy milk, eggs, porridge, bread, grilled sausages, and a salad of spirit fruits, among other things. Knowing that the two kids often exercised and burned a lot of energy, they needed to eat a lot to replenish. So she would always make the 3 meals a day very substantial for fear of starving the two. Here, try Aunt Xian's freshly squeezed soy milk. Zhang Wangzhen took a glass and poured it full of fresh, slightly yellow-tinted soy milk, smiling as she handed it to Shen Qinghan. Shen Qinghan took the soy milk and sipped it with anticipation. Yum, it tasted sweet, but her heart felt a bit squeamish. With her thoughts somewhat tainted, it couldn't be helped. After breakfast, not long after, Shen Qinghan went back home. She went to keep her parents company. Shortly after Shen Qinghan left, the pound of dimensional rat meat that Lin Zikin had ordered the night before was delivered. It was brought by a senior student. This senior student had not gone home for winter break, choosing instead to stay at school to work part-time for credits. Zhang Wangzhen, upon seeing that the delivery person was a student, asked if she had eaten breakfast. The student said she hadn't. Upon hearing this, Zhang Wangzhen warmly gave her some leftover eggs, bread, soy milk, and grilled sausages. The student didn't stand on ceremony and thanked her before accepting the food. Lin Zikin wasn't as hospitable as Zhang Wangzhen. As soon as he signed for the delivery, he brought the package inside to check the appearance of the dimensional rat meat. At a glance, he felt that apart from the meat looking somewhat tenderer, it didn't differ much from common pork, beef, or mutton. Without lingering further, suddenly, Lin Zikin had an idea: devour. You have devoured a strand of the dimensional rat's life essence. Dimensional rat album progress, 1%. After devouring, Lin Zikin, finding himself with nothing else to do, went upstairs to practice the blood tempering technique. He had only just sat down for a short while when Shen Qinghan came over to his house again. Claiming boredom at her own place, the audacious miss had come to join him in practicing the blood tempering technique. And so, the pair, a young man and an unmarried woman, practiced the blood tempering technique together in the same room. They practiced for an entire morning. Heavily sweating, both were soaked through. Lin Zikin checked the body refining progress bar. The data was as follows. 4th stage skin tempering, 100%. 4th stage flesh tempering, 41%. 4th stage bone tempering, 0%. The progress on the 4th stage flesh tempering was nearly halfway complete. The efficiency was exceptionally high. As long as this efficiency could be maintained, reaching the 4th stage body refining grade accomplishment before the start of school was not a problem. After reviewing his own body refining progress, Lin Zikin turned to Shen Qinghan and said, "Come, let me check your body and see how far along your body refining progress is." Shen Qinghan didn't have a system, so she couldn't see a progress bar like Lin Zikin could. If she wanted to know her own body refining progress, she had to rely on touch. Scanning with spiritual power was also an option, but her spiritual strength simply wasn't enough. And Lin Zikin's was not quite sufficient either. A few minutes later, Lin Zikin had felt all over Shen Qinghan's body and roughly assessed her body refining progress. The progress was astonishing, she was almost at 2nd stage bone tempering. At the same time, her biological level was subtly trending toward an evolution to a common 7th tier. Lin Zikin was somewhat shocked. Shen Qinghan's efficiency in practicing the blood tempering technique was too high. It felt like she hadn't practiced for many days, and she was already close to 2nd stage body refinement completion, unbelievably fast. If she continued at this rate, it wouldn't be long before he might truly come to be known alongside her as one of the unmatched twin prides. Xiao Chen, how is my progress with body refining? Seeing Lin Zikin stop and no longer wandering hands, Shen Qinghan asked expectantly. Lin Zikin calmly replied, you're close to second stage bone tempering. Progress this high. Shen Qinghan was surprised, she hadn't expected such progress. Lin Zikin stood up from the ground and said, it's almost time for lunch, and you're all sweaty from practicing the blood tempering technique. Go home, take a bath, and eat something. Okay, I'll go now. Shen Qinghan said as she got up from the floor and walked towards the room's exit. Just as she was about to leave the room, she stopped, looked back at Lin Zikin, and said, I almost forgot, my mom asked you to come over for lunch. She said she's going to make lots of delicious food for you. All right, I'll come over after I take a shower. Lin Zikin said, taking clothes from the closet and heading to the bathroom across the hall. He knew well that he couldn't always lead Shen Qinghan to his home, he needed to visit hers, to be fair to his future in-laws. Though the two families were close and got along well, usually not minding such matters. But that was only acceptable for short periods. If it happened every time over the long term, even those who didn't mind would eventually begin to care. Because not caring would eventually lead to a loss. Either way, he had to attend to social propriety. A little past noon. Fresh out of the shower, Lin Zikin, wearing slippers, went over to Shen Qinghan's place for lunch. The meal was lavish with spirit fruits, exotic beast meat, and the works. They weren't bought but provided by the school. It was Shen Qinghan's privilege as the provincial top scholar. Chapter 304, 191. Really going to become the pair of unmatched heroes _3. At the beginning or end of each month, the school would send evolutionary resources to Shen Jianyi and Su Meng on time. Here, Xiao Chen, eat more of this meat. This is the spiritual chicken gifted by President Ma of Evolution College a few days ago. They say these chickens were raised in the spirit plant garden, carefully nurtured for 2.5 years, and they taste especially delicious. It's very helpful for evolution. There's also this spiritual fish, eating it is good for the mind, so have more as well. Su Meng desperately filled Lin Zikin's bowl with food, afraid that he wouldn't get enough to eat. Lin Zikin looked at his bowl, which was quickly piling up like a 100-meter-tall building, and hurriedly stopped her, Aunt Meng, that's enough, I can't finish all that. No problem, if you can't finish, just eat it slowly, Su Meng said affectionately. Zhang Wangzhen treated Shen Qinghan like a daughter, and similarly, Su Meng treated Lin Zikin like a son. After all, she had watched him grow up from a young age, he was no different from her own son. Mom, Aunt Xin is pregnant with a second child. Shen Qinghan suddenly turned to Su Meng and said. Su Meng, I knew that already. Shen Qinghan hesitated before finally voicing her thought, Mom, I want to be a big sister, don't you want to have another one too? Su Meng promptly waved her hand in refusal, I'm too old for that now, why would I have another child? Besides, you're almost at the age to be a mother yourself. What's this about wanting to be a big sister? She was a year younger than Zhang Wangzhen, but she had no intention of having a second child. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan had no choice but to drop the subject. After the meal, Lin Zikin took a rest and planned to take a trip to the research institute. Last night, he had replicated the shapes formed by the water droplets that were hovering around Shen Qinghan onto paper, took photos and sent them to Lu Juanwu, asking if they were some kind of ancient script. Lu Juanwu found them somewhat familiar. He seemed to have seen them on some ancient artifact but couldn't recall it at the moment. He said he would go to the institute in the morning to look for the artifact. But now it was almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was still no news from Lu Juanwu. Lin Zikin grew impatient and decided to go to the institute himself to see if he could find the ancient artifact mentioned by Lu Juanwu. Xiao Chen, can I come with you to the institute? Shen Qinghan followed and asked. Having been briefly separated during the special training period, she had become even more clingy to Lin Zikan, wanting to hold on to him every second of every minute without letting go. Let me ask the president. Lin Zikan took out his phone and sent a message to Lu Juanwu on WeChat. Ziai Chen, President, I want to take a look around the institute now, and King Han wants to come with me, can I bring her? More than 10 minutes later, Lu Juanwu replied. President, King Han is your fiancé, she's family, feel free to come. President, wait, aren't you and King Han in the Nanjiang Provincial Military Region headquarters for special training, how come you're back? Ziai Chen, we finished ahead of schedule. President, what's the situation? Ziai Chen, the special training was prematurely ended due to an attack by the Divine Plant Cult during an external combat training. President, what the hell? That's outrageous. What exactly happened? Ziai Chen, it's like this. Lin Zikan gave a brief explanation, using voice messages to quickly inform Lu Juanwu about the military training events. Lu Juanwu was shocked upon hearing this. Lin Zikan didn't dwell on the topic with him and quickly steered the conversation back to the ancient artifact. Ziai Chen, President, did you find the ancient artifact you mentioned last night? President, I haven't returned to the institute yet, I've been out since yesterday afternoon. Ziai Chen, where is the artifact kept? I'll go look for it myself. President, I don't remember exactly where it is, I think it's in the storage room. Your sister Yan should be in the institute now, you can go look for it in the storage room with her later. Ziai Chen, okay. President, I have some matters to attend to. So I won't chat anymore. Ziai Chen, alright. After replying to this message, Lin Zikan wasted no more time and immediately took Shen Qinghan to the Pure Human Research Institute to find and study that ancient artifact. Chapter 305, 192, The Underwater Ruins of 20 Years Ago. Pure Human Research Institute, Entrance. Shen Qinghan looked at the somewhat old building before her, full of anticipation. I've always wanted to visit the Pure Human Research Institute, and today I finally have the chance. Lin Zikan laughed, I'd advise you not to expect too much. The inside is pretty run down, especially the corridor we're going to go through, it looks almost like a junkyard. Really? You'll see once you go in. The two of them talked as they walked into the institute. Along the way, Shen Qinghan curiously looked around at the surrounding environment. She found it to be exactly as Lin Zikan had described. The corridor was cluttered with miscellaneous items, looking like a junkyard. Why is it so messy here? Doesn't anyone clean up? Xiao Chen, how about I come over and help you clean up when I'm free? Shen Qinghan offered with a wife-like demeanor. Lin Zikan, don't bother. This kind of mess is a characteristic of the Pure Human Research Institute. It's meant to be chaotic, the more disordered, the more it inspires the research spirit, giving one the feel of being in ancient ruins. Is that really okay? Shen Qinghan didn't understand, but it was an eye-opener. Soon, the two navigated through the dim corridor and arrived at the brightly lit recreational area in the middle. Song Yuan was doing yoga inside. When she saw them coming in, she immediately got up from the yoga mat with her long, sexy legs and greeted them with a smile. Hey, handsome boy and pretty girl, you're here. Lin Zikan introduced Song Yuan to Shen Qinghan. This beautiful lady is Sister Yan whom I mentioned to you before. Just call her Sister Yan. Hello, Sister Yan. Shen Qinghan called out politely, her voice crisp and sweet. Her delicate face had a shy smile that made her look extremely adorable. Song Yuan felt her heart melt upon hearing this. She stepped forward and, with a familiar gesture, took Shen Qinghan's hand, praising her endlessly. I've seen your picture on Ziai Chen's phone before, and I was amazed by your beauty even then. I didn't expect that in person, you're even more beautiful than your photo. What's most important is that your voice is so pleasant to hear, it's like my ears are about to get pregnant. Thank you. Shen Qinghan was somewhat at a loss for how to respond to the compliments and, after some thought, could only say thank you to Song Yuan. So reserved, so polite, so cute. Song Yuan really liked this pretty little sister in front of her. She enthusiastically took her hand and led her to the fridge to get her a drink, telling her to make herself at home in the institute, to be more casual and not so restrained. Cooped up in the institute doing research every day, besides Lu Juanmu and Lin Zikan, there weren't any girls around. Now that there finally was one, Song Yuan felt exceptionally happy. Come on, Han Han, let's add each other on WeChat. Song Yuan took out her mobile phone, opened the QR code in WeChat, and invited Shen Qinghan to scan and add her as a friend. Shen Qinghan obediently took out her phone to scan the code and added Song Yuan as a friend on WeChat. After adding each other, Song Yuan immediately went to check Shen Qinghan's moments and teased after looking through them. Wow, your profile picture is Zi Chen, your moments cover photo is Zi Chen, and almost every single post is related to Zi Chen. You really like him a lot. Such a deeply affectionate girl is rare nowadays. If Zi Chen ever dares to let you down, Sister Yan promises to be the first to criticize him on your behalf. Hearing these words, Shen Qinghan felt very uncomfortable and didn't know how to respond. Song Yuan was too familiar for her comfort, making the interaction a bit difficult for her. On the other side, Lin Zikan sat down on the sofa and contacted Lu Juanmu through WeChat. He inquired for more details about the ancient artifact. For instance, what did the artifact look like? In which storage room was it specifically placed? The institute was a mess, with miscellaneous items scattered everywhere, and any corner could be described as a storage room. Without clearer instructions, it would be difficult to search for it later. Less than half a minute after the message was sent, Lu Juanmu replied. Director, the ancient artifact is a bracelet made of pearls and shells. I forgot which storage room I put it in, so you'll have to search for it. Seeing the content of the message, Lin Zikan felt a bit overwhelmed. The bracelet was small, and there were many storage rooms in the institute. It would probably be difficult to find it even if he searched all afternoon. After all, a bracelet was an inanimate object, with no vitality or aura to detect through spiritual power. Unless his spiritual power was as strong as Yuan Dongji's, enabling him to fly and scan the human body, it might be possible to sense the existence of an inanimate object like the bracelet. By the way, Zi Chen, didn't you say you were going to join a month-long special training at the military district? How come you're back after only half a month? Song Yuan tossed a can of drink to Lin Zikan and asked with some confusion. Lin Zikan explained, the training was attacked by the divine plant cult, so it ended prematurely, and I came back early. Ah? Did I hear that right? An attack by a heretical sect in the military district. Song Yuan was shocked and then asked with both doubt and curiosity, what in the world happened? Tell me about it. It went like this. Lin Zikan briefly recounted the incident to Song Yuan. After hearing the story, Song Yuan was dumbfounded. After a moment to recover, she said in disbelief, my goodness, they even dare to attack the headquarters of the Nanjiang Province Military District. The divine plant cult must be crazy. They are a bit crazy. Lin Zikan agreed. Chapter 306, 192, The Underwater Ruins of 20 Years Ago _2. After finishing his thought, he skipped over the topic and handed over his chat records with Lu Juanmu to Song Yuan, then asked, Sister Yan, do you remember this bracelet the director mentioned? Song Yuan thought for a moment and shook her head, I've been at the institute for 10 years and have never seen this bracelet. Is that so? Lin Zikan said regretfully, then it looks like we'll have to search slowly. Song Yuan smiled and said, it's okay, I'm very familiar with the storage room at the institute. I can rule out many places, it probably won't take long to find it. That's true, then I'll have to trouble you, Sister Yan. To help me search. What trouble, don't be so polite. After a brief chat, the three of them quickly began searching the institute. Half an hour passed, and they found nothing. An hour passed, and still nothing. An hour and a half. 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Under Song Yuan's leadership, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan searched for a full 2.5 hours, turning the entire research institute upside down, not even sparing Lu Juanmu's office. However, they came up empty-handed, not even a shadow of the bracelet to be seen. How is this possible? We've turned over every place where miscellaneous items are stored, how can we not find the bracelet that the director mentioned? Song Yuan said with a slight frown. She thought for a moment and then said, do you think it's possible that the director has senile dementia and there actually isn't such a bracelet at all? Lin Zikan didn't respond but simply said, let's keep looking. If we really can't find it, we'll wait for the director to come back and see. Having said this, he continued searching through the pile of miscellaneous items. Your eyes may deceive you, pick up where you left off and search even more carefully than before, lest you miss any corner. So they searched for over 10 minutes more. Shen Qinghan's gaze then fell on an aquarium in the corner. It was a discarded fish tank. Its surface covered with dust. Inside, there was a thick layer of soil. Upon closer inspection, the soil inside was so dry it was cracked, looking as though it was ground that had been drought-stricken for decades. For some reason, Shen Qinghan felt this abandoned fish tank was drawing her in, as if there was an intuitive pull. Looking at the soil in the tank, she proposed to Lin Zikan as if possessed, Xiao Chen, do you think the bracelet we're looking for could be buried in the soil of this fish tank? Lin Zikan looked towards the abandoned fish tank upon hearing her words. A sense of puzzlement emerged in his heart. In the soil of the fish tank? Why on earth would a bracelet be buried in the soil of a fish tank? It made no sense. Lin Zikan felt that his Qinghan might be letting her imagination run a little too wild, her creativity quite abundant. Thinking this, he moved closer to the fish tank and, looking at the soil inside it, asked Shen Qinghan, why do you think the bracelet could be buried in the soil of this fish tank? Shen Qinghan replied, I can't explain it. I just suddenly noticed this fish tank and felt that the bracelet we're looking for was buried in the soil. Intuition, maybe? Lin Zikan chose to believe in Shen Qinghan's intuition and said, it's possible. Let me find something to dig up the soil in the fish tank and take a look. He then went to look for a stick or spade. Just as Lin Zikan left, Song Yuan approached the fish tank and said, when I first came to the institute 10 years ago, this fish tank was already here, just like it is now. It feels like it's been left here for at least 20 or 30 years. Continuing, she asked Shen Qinghan, how do you have the intuition, thinking that the bracelet we're looking for is buried in the soil of this fish tank? She, like Lin Zikan, couldn't understand Shen Qinghan's intuition. It truly was strange. Why would a perfectly good bracelet be buried in the soil of a fish tank? There was no logic to it. Faced with Song Yuan's query, Shen Qinghan was also at a loss for words. Only able to respond, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel that the bracelet is buried in the soil of the fish tank. Soon, Lin Zikan returned with a small metal trowel used for archaeological excavation. Under the watchful eyes of the two women, he carefully inserted the trowel into the tank and began to dig up the soil. It wasn't long before he dug out a bracelet from the soil. A bracelet made of pearls and seashells. It was exactly the same bracelet that Lu Juanmu had mentioned on WeChat. Lin Zikan and Song Yuan were both astonished. What's going on? Had Shen Qinghan actually guessed correctly? Was the bracelet that Lu Juanmu had spoken of really buried in the soil of the fish tank? How can your intuition be so accurate? Song Yuan looked towards Shen Qinghan, feeling incredibly incredulous and somewhat unable to comprehend. She pondered how she had been at the place for 10 years and had no idea that a bracelet was hidden in the soil of the fish tank. Yet Shen Qinghan, on her first day at the place, guessed that there was a bracelet in the soil of the fish tank. Could this beautiful young lady have some special treasure hunting ability? Song Yuan found this to be very puzzling. She was puzzled, and so was Shen Qinghan. Shen Qinghan had no idea what was going on with her intuition. She couldn't explain it and could only tell Song Yuan that she didn't know either. Meanwhile, Lin Zikan closely examined the bracelet in his hand. It was strange. This bracelet was obviously dug up from the soil. However, there wasn't a speck of dirt on it. It looked shiny and smooth, as if it had just been meticulously cleaned, truly untainted by its muddy origins. He didn't care much about whether it was clean or not. Soon, Lin Zikan's attention was drawn to the mysterious patterns on the bracelet. The bracelet was made of pearls and seashells. Each pearl, each piece of seashell, was engraved with mysterious patterns that appeared to be characters. These mysterious patterns, which resembled the patterns formed by the water droplets that had surrounded Shen Qinghan, were so similar that it was almost certain they were of the same type. Xiao Chen, the patterns on this bracelet really do look like the ones we saw before, Shen Qinghan leaned in and said as she looked at the bracelet. Song Yuan asked, "You've seen these patterns on the bracelet before? Where did you see them?" Lin Zikan casually lied, "We saw them on some items belonging to Divine Plant Cult members when we were attacked by the cult." "Did you manage to capture any of those items?" Song Yuan was interested in unknown ancient scripts and wanted to collect more related items for research, to see if she could decipher the ancient text herself. "Lin Zikan, we didn't capture any, those items sank into the sea and were carried away by the currents." Song Yuan shook her head, "What a pity, such a pity." After saying this, she added, "In the future, we should pay close attention to the heretics from the Divine Plant Cult, see if we can catch a few and dig up some related items from them." While they were talking, Lu Chuanwu, who hadn't been to the research institute for almost an entire day, finally returned. With dark circles under his eyes, he yawned wearily and came in at a leisurely pace, saying, "You're all here, did you find that bracelet?" "We found it." Lin Zikan raised the bracelet he was holding in his hand. Standing beside him, Shen Qinghan called out reservedly, "Director Lu, hello." Lu Chuanwu responded cheerfully, "Hello to you too." Song Yuan teased, "Director Lu, your dark circles are so heavy, you didn't spend all of last night working, did you?" Lu Chuanwu rubbed his lower back and said, "It wasn't just all night, it was the whole day. From noon yesterday until now, I haven't slept a second. I've been busy pile driving, helping an old flame fix up her garden, it really wore out these old bones of mine." Lin Zikan wasn't interested in what Lu Chuanwu did last night at his old flame's place, he was only interested in the bracelet he was holding. Quickly, he asked, "Director Lu, where did you get this bracelet from?" After thinking it over, Lu Chuanwu said, "If I remember correctly, it should have been excavated from an underwater relic back in 04. Underwater relic? Lin Zikan sharply caught the word sea and continued to ask, what was that underwater relic like exactly? It's been nearly 20 years from that time to now, I've forgotten many details. After finishing, Lu Chuanwu added, but I recorded it back then, it's stored in my office, I'll take you to see it now. Chapter 307, 193. Challenge geniuses from all walks of life. Show the upper limit of the pure-blood human path. Soon, Lin Zikan followed Lu Chuanwu into the office. Shen Qinghan and Song Yuan also came in. Lu Chuanwu sat down at his desk, turned on the computer, opened a video folder, and played a video he had shot in an underwater ruin 20 years ago. Lin Zikan stood behind him, watching the video on the computer screen. As the video began, Lin Zikan's eyes were greeted by an underwater cave entrance. It seemed to be over a meter in radius. Located within a coral reef. The area around the entrance was barren, without even a single blade of seaweed visible, making the entrance obvious to anyone passing by. Quickly, the footage began to delve deeper into the entrance. About 10 seconds later, the video transitioned from the cramped cave tunnel to a spacious cavern. The cavern was empty, with nothing inside. There was only a huge mural. The content of the mural depicted a woman with an unclear face, elegantly lying sideways in a giant shell, with hordes of bizarre sea creatures kneeling on the ground in front of her. Linziken took a glance at the woman in the video. Even though her face wasn't clear, judging by her graceful figure, she must have been quite beautiful. After looking at the woman, Linziken's gaze fell upon the sea creatures in the video. After a once-over, most of them were unrecognizable. The only ones he recognized were a mermaid kneeling in the center, a Jiaolong dragon kneeling towards the back in the center, and a snake woman in the front row. The snake woman's hair was made of fine snakes, and the lower half of her body was a long snake tail. She looked very eerie, somewhat resembling the Medusa of Greek mythology. The video lingered on the mural for a few minutes, then moved to a stone on the side. Resting on top of the stone was a bracelet made of pearls and shells. This bracelet was exactly the one that Linziken was holding in his hand at the moment. Shortly after, the video ended. The footage froze 2 seconds after the bracelet was found. The video was only 5 minutes and 20 seconds long. Short and insubstantial. After the video ended, Lu Juanwu said to everyone behind him, "I stayed in that underwater ruin for over an hour, but I only recorded this much. It's not that I didn't record, something went wrong with the recording equipment, and it didn't capture any footage from the additional hour," he continued. "By the time I realized this, I was already home and it was impossible to go back and re-record," he explained. "Director, where is this underwater ruin?" Linziken asked. Lu Chuanwu paused, then replied, "It's in Chuangri Bay, Shanghai City, but now it has disappeared." Linziken was somewhat puzzled. "What do you mean, disappeared?" Lu Chuanwu said, "The day after the video wasn't enough, I went diving again to record more, only to discover that I couldn't find the entrance or even that coral reef. At that time, I asked many old fishermen who had been fishing in Chuangri Bay for years, and the answer was that there was never any cave entrance there, nor was there a coral reef. I even wondered if I had accidentally entered some kind of different space, like the man in the peach blossom spring, who by chance wandered into peach blossom forest, and then was unable to find the entrance again after leaving," he shared. "That's so strange," Linziken said, slightly frowning and falling into deep thought, attempting to explain the phenomenon with the scientific knowledge he possessed. But no matter how he thought about it, there was no explanation. While Linziken was deep in thought, Shen Qinghan was intently staring at the bracelet in his hand. For some reason, she felt a strong interest in the pearl shell bracelet. The bracelet seemed ordinary, yet she wanted to look at it and even touch it. Linziken noticed her gaze. Seeing her fixated on the bracelet and suspecting curiosity, he handed it to her, saying, "If you want to look, go ahead and take a look." "Oh, then I'll have a look," she said. Shen Qinghan received the bracelet he passed to her. The moment she touched the bracelet, she felt a cool sensation in her palm, comforting like holding a cup of chilled milk tea. This puzzled her. Since the bracelet, having been held by Linziken for so long, should have been warm due to body heat, why did it feel cold to the touch now? That defied logic. Shen Qinghan pondered for a moment but didn't dwell on it. Soon, she became curious and examined the bracelet closely. The more she looked, the more captivating it became. From initially appearing ordinary, it gradually seemed exquisitely beautiful, as if its value had skyrocketed. Then, an inexplicable desire to possess the bracelet arose in her, wanting to claim ownership of the one in her hands. However, this desire didn't last long, as it was overcome by her rationality within seconds. "No, why am I so concerned about this bracelet? So weird." The now clear-headed Shen Qinghan, looking at the bracelet in her hand, was filled with confusion. Seeing her apparent interest in the pearl shell bracelet, Lu Chuanwu smiled and said, if you like that bracelet, take it. It's just sitting around here as a trinket anyway. Really? Can I? Shen Qinghan was a bit flabbergasted. After all, the bracelet was an ancient relic from the ruins, with immense research value. Even if it was simply auctioned as an antique collection, it would probably fetch a good price. Giving it away like this was too generous. Seeing that Shen Qinghan seemed reluctant to accept it, Lin Zikan told her. Since the director is giving it to you, you should accept it. Oh, then I'll gladly accept it, she said. Shen Qinghan unhesitatingly accepted the bracelet upon Lin Zikan's advice. Then looked at Lu Chuanwu tentatively and said softly, thank you, director. Chapter 308, 193. Challenge geniuses from all walks of life. Display the limits of the pure-blood human path, _2. Hey, no need to be so formal, you're Zi Chen's fiancé, so your family. Come and visit the institute more often and bring some liveliness to our quiet research institute. Lu Chuanwu said with a kindly smile. Shen Qinghan nodded, I will. Just then, Lin Zikan's phone vibrated. He took it out and saw it was a voice call on WeChat from Yuan Dongji. Since there were other people around, Lin Zikan, out of courtesy, took his phone out to the corridor to answer it. As soon as he answered, Yuan Dongji's cool voice came through. Zi Chen, the vice-governor in charge of the origin land wants to see you, where are you now? Vice-governor? Hearing this title, Lin Zikan was quite surprised. His country was named Zhuzhou. The governor was the most publicly prominent and powerful person in the country. And the vice-governor, especially the one overseeing affairs in the origin land, was without a doubt a figure whose status was second only to the governor. Above almost everyone else. With a biological level that started at least from the legendary level. The pinnacle of Earth's peak fighters. Yuan Dongji had told Lin Zikan that, given his performance in the military special training and the divine plant cult's interest in him, he would soon catch the attention of some influential figures in the country. But Lin Zikan could never have dreamed that he would catch the attention of a vice-governor. This was like the saying, the big moment has come. Steadying his emotions, Lin Zikan said, Principal Yuan, I'm currently at the Pure Human Research Institute. Perfect, the vice-governor also plans to visit the Pure Human Research Institute. Just wait there, he will arrive in about half an hour. After speaking, Yuan Dongji asked, is Lu Chuanwu at the institute? Lin Zikan, he is. Yuan Dongji, tell him to prepare the research results regarding the pure-blood human path, summarize a report for the vice-governor to hear, and make it concise, with no rambling. Lin Zikan, got it, I understand. Yuan Dongji, that's all I wanted to say, nothing else, hanging up now. Okay, Principal Yuan, goodbye. Lin Zikan didn't hang up the voice call but silently waited for Yuan Dongji to hang up. He almost never initiated hanging up when talking to someone, he always let the other party end the call. Soon, Yuan Dongji ended the call, concluding the conversation. Lin Zikan put away his phone and returned from the corridor to the living and leisure area. As soon as he returned, Song Yuan teased, I say Zi Chen, why did you have to go outside to take a WeChat voice call, was it some girl looking for you? A girl? Shen Qinghan's heart tightened upon hearing that. Although she trusted Lin Zikan very much, Song Yuan's words inevitably made her feel nervous. The reality was Lin Zikan was just too popular with girls, with innumerable little fans, even the lofty fox women in the origin land wanted to take him away as their pet. This made Shen Qinghan, who had always lacked confidence, sometimes feel very insecure. Worrying that Lin Zikan might be snatched away by another girl one day. Lin Zikan noticed that something was off with Shen Qinghan and guessed what she might be thinking. But he said nothing about it and didn't try to reassure Shen Qinghan. He simply told everyone, that was Principal Yuan calling me just now. Lu Chuanwu's eyebrows raised, Yuan Dongji? What does she want with you? Lin Zishan, Principal Yuan said, the vice-governor who oversees the origin land will visit the institute in half an hour. Upon hearing this, Lu Chuanmu's eyes widened. Who did you say is coming? Lin Zikan, the vice-governor, the one in charge of the origin land. Hey! Lu Chuanmu looked puzzled. Why would such a high-ranking official want to come have a look at my rundown research institute? Principal Yuan mentioned that the vice-governor specifically requested to meet me, and also wanted to visit the institute while he's at it. After Lin Zikan finished, he added, it must be because I performed too well in the special training, and due to the divine plant cult's high regard for me, catching the attention of the vice-governor, and in turn, sparking his interest in the pure-blood human path. Is that so? Lu Chuanmu stroked his chin. Lin Zikan, Director, Principal Yuan wants you to have the Institute's research findings on the pure-blood human path from over the years ready, to briefly summarize and report to the Vice-Governor. Before Lu Chuanmu could respond, Song Yuan excitedly said, Director, that's fantastic. After all the years we've spent researching the pure-blood human path, a big shot is finally showing interest. The hardship has finally paid off. As she spoke, Song Yuan looked toward Lin Zikan with a smiling face, sentimentally saying, indeed, to promote the pure-blood human path, we need top-tier talents like you. The director and I have been promoting it diligently for so long, with no results to show, treated like pariahs. But ever since you joined, things have improved rapidly, to the point where even the vice-governor, a figure above millions, has started paying attention to the pure-blood human path. It feels as unreal as a dream. As she talked, Song Yuan's eyes began to moisten uncontrollably. She had devoted the best 10 years of her youth and the rest of her life ahead to researching the pure-blood human path. The slow progress had left her all but hopeless for the future. This had caused her deep despair. The arrival of Lin Zikan finally gave her a glimmer of hope. It offered her the chance to prove herself. To demonstrate that she was not one with the crowd. To show she was not just another foolish woman without substance. To validate that her decision to give up on the promising path of genetic fusion 10 years ago to pursue the theoretically based pure-blood human path was the right choice. Chapter 309, 193. Challenge geniuses from all walks of life. Show the upper limit of the pure-blood human path, _3. Pure-blood humans are destined to shine. Moreover, that day is not too far away. Yes, finally the bitter has come to an end. Hearing Song Yuan's excited voice, Lu Chuanmu couldn't help but murmur this phrase to himself. In the domain of pure-blood human research, he had invested far more than Song Yuan had. While Song Yuan had devoted 10 years of her youth, he had invested virtually his entire life. Yet, at the moment when pure-blood humans might finally shine, he was much more composed than Song Yuan. Perhaps this is what people mean when they say small joys excite, but great joys are taken in stride. Yuan, let's go and organize all the research findings from over the years. After dropping this line, Lu Chuanmu turned and headed towards the lab. Upon hearing this, Song Yuan didn't bother to savor her excitement any longer and quickly followed him. Knowing he couldn't be of help, Lin Zikan decided not to crowd the lab. Instead, he chose to stay with Shen Qinghan in the living and leisure area to tidy up. But not much cleaning was done, they just tidied up the tables and chairs to make the environment look neat. After a few minutes of quick tidying up, Lin Zikan, having nothing else to do, sat on the sofa and began to search for information about the vice-governor using his phone. He used a special account given by Yuan Dongji, on a particular website. Information on figures like the vice-governor couldn't possibly be obtained through regular websites. They had hardly any useful information. A special website was necessary. This particular website was provided by Yuan Dongji for Shen Qinghan's education. The goal was to have Shen Qinghan pay more attention to the internal information of the world, to understand it as much as possible. However, Shen Qinghan had used this special website less than Lin Zikan had. Instead of looking up information herself, she preferred hearing second-hand news from Lin Zikin. She treated Lin Zikin as an encyclopedia, asking him anything she didn't understand. And Lin Zikin himself was not opposed to this. He thought it was good to be Shen Qinghan's encyclopedia, effectively sharing the effects of his celestial wisdom root biometric attribute with her. Soon, the search results for information about the vice-governor appeared on the special website. There were a total of 3 vice-governors in Jiuzhou country. One was in charge of the origin land base. One managed Earth's administration. Another had only a solitary name in the profile, with no other introduction. It was unclear what area they oversaw, which made it look quite mysterious. No information about this vice-governor even on a special website? What could they be responsible for? Why so mysterious? Lin Zikin was filled with questions. Yet, he didn't dwell too much on it. He soon refocused on the vice-governor in charge of the origin land base. He clicked on the person's profile, wishing to understand the individual's background. Name: Ye Yongsheng. Position: Vice-Governor of Jiuzhou country. Date of birth: not recorded. Achievements: established several origin land bases, promoted genetic fusion, once slew a legendary level fire phoenix in the Flame Valley of Origin Land, etc. Promote genetic fusion? Why is someone who promotes genetic fusion seeking me out, someone who follows the pure-blood human path? Is this a competitor coming to eliminate a rival faction? After reviewing Vice-Governor Yi's credentials, these thoughts popped into Lin Zikin's mind. Of course, it was just speculation, and he didn't really think that was the case. Such a prominent and powerful vice-governor, capable of slaying legendary creatures, would unlikely be so idle to come for such a purpose. It was probably because he saw potential in the pure-blood human path and specially came to understand this less-traveled evolutionary route to see if it held any promise for promotion. Xiao Chen, does this pearl shell bracelet look good on my hand? Shen Qinghan lifted her right hand in front of Lin Zikin, showing off the bracelet she had on her wrist. Lin Zikin glanced at it and responded somewhat perfunctorily, very nice. After speaking, he lowered his head to continue browsing through Ye Yongshen's profile to further understand the vice-governor. Feeling Lin Zikin's perfunctory response, Shen Qinghan was a bit disappointed. But she didn't show it and just leaned in closer, curious to see what Lin Zikin was so intently looking at on his phone. As both of them were seriously perusing the phone, the bracelet on her hand began emitting a faint blue glow. The blue light was flickering, coming from the mysterious runes inscribed on the pearl shells. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Lu Chuanyu and Song Yuan were still in the lab, busy organizing data. By that time, Yuan Dongji had already appeared in the airspace above the research institute with the vice-governor. Upon sensing the arrival of the three, Lin Zikin immediately got up from the sofa and went to inform Lu Chuanyu and Song Yuan in the lab to come out and greet them. As soon as they heard that the vice-governor had arrived, Lu Chuanyu and Song Yuan hurriedly rushed downstairs with a stack of documents to greet him. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan followed them downstairs. When the 4 of them arrived at the entrance of the research institute downstairs, Yuan Dongji and the others who were flying in the sky had also just gently floated down. There were 3 of them, 2 men and 1 woman. The woman was Yuan Dongji. The men were the vice-governor and his male secretary. Lin Zikin sized up the vice-governor, a tall middle-aged man. With a square face, slightly graying temples, his overall image was very authoritative. As for the secretary beside him, he had a softer appearance, wearing glasses and giving off the impression of an intellectual. Chapter 310, 193. Challenge geniuses from all walks of life. Show the upper limit of the pure-blood human path, _4. People can fly now, and their biological level is at least of the rare level, so why do they still need to wear glasses? Can a strong person of such level actually have vision problems? It must only be for decoration. Lin Zikin thought to himself. While he was thinking about this, Lu Chuanwu looked toward Vice-Governor Ye Yongsheng with a respectful expression, "Governor." Seeing this, everyone else also respectfully called out "Governor," deliberately omitting the word "Vice." Ye Yongsheng, without a smile, said, "I am very interested in your research on the pure-blood human path, let's talk in the research institute." "Please, this way, Governor." Lu Chuanwu led the way for Ye Yongsheng. Ye Yongsheng, with hands clasped behind his back, followed him steadily into the research institute. The others consciously followed behind. After touring the research institute, Ye Yongsheng sat down on a sofa in the living and leisure area. Song Yuan was preparing tea at the tea table. The other people all stood on the other side of the tea table. Ye Yongsheng said, "Sit down, everyone, no need to stand on ceremony." Hearing this, everyone found a seat, consciously avoiding the space next to Ye Yongsheng, allowing the vice-governor to sit alone at the head position. "Governor, this is the research that has been done in the Institute on the pure-blood human path over the years for your review." Lu Chuanwu, with both hands, respectfully presented the organized materials to Ye Yongsheng. Ye Yongsheng took the materials, skimming through them at a remarkable speed. In just under 3 minutes, he had finished going through the thick stack of materials. Lu Chuanwu prepared himself to answer any questions Ye Yongsheng might have. However, after reviewing the materials, Ye Yongsheng didn't ask any questions. Instead, in a deep voice, he said, "When the pure-blood human path first emerged, I spent some time focusing on it. I followed it for about a decade and saw that all the geniuses who pursued the pure-blood human path eventually faded into obscurity without exception. I then sentenced this theoretically possible evolutionary path to death, convinced it was a dead end. To my surprise, so many years later, there are still people persistently researching this evolutionary path. Moreover, they have indeed achieved some results. There has appeared a specimen with a high probability of breaking through ordinary constraints using a pure-blood human body and evolving into an advanced-level creature." As he spoke, Ye Yongsheng looked at Lin Zikan sitting in front of him and said, "I just came out of the Origin Land yesterday, and I heard about your astonishing performance in the Nanjiang military district as well as the attack from the divine plant cult. Your astonishing performance in the military district proves that the pure-blood human path is worth researching. The divine plant cult's interest in you suggests that the pure-blood human path might have some special aspect to it that they want to seize by taking you." Ye Yongsheng picked up his cup of tea and took a sip before continuing, "I just sensed your chi blood strength and spiritual strength, and I was a bit surprised by how high they are. Although your biological level is only ordinary 9th rank, your chi blood strength and spiritual strength have reached the level of advanced 2nd rank. Your emergence has made me curious about the pure-blood human path. From today, I hope you will display your strength to the fullest without holding back. As a genius of the pure-blood human path, constantly challenge the geniuses of the genetic fusion and the mechanical transformation paths, so I can see the limits of the pure-blood human path." As he said these words, Ye Yongshen's sharp eyes, like an eagle's, stared directly into Lin Zikan's eyes with an uncompromising assertiveness. After hearing Ye Yongshen's words, a ripple ran through Lin Zikan's heart. This vice-governor could see my chi blood strength and spiritual strength? My natural concealment doesn't work on him. Had I overestimated the effect of this biometric attribute and underestimated a legendary-level strong person's perceptual abilities? On the other hand, Vice-Governor's Secretary Yuan Dongji, Lu Chuanwu, and Song Yuan were all very shocked at the moment, their faces filled with disbelief as they looked at Lin Zikan. Biological level only ordinary 9th rank, but chi blood strength and spiritual strength have reached advanced 2nd rank? What's going on? The chi blood strength reaching advanced 2nd rank could be explained by the practice of the blood tempering technique. But what about this spiritual strength? Bear in mind, Lin Zikan follows the pure-blood human path, and cannot improve his spiritual strength by fusing exotic beast genes. Under these circumstances, how did he raise his spiritual strength to advanced 2nd rank? P.S. begging for monthly votes and recommendations.